Today's talk's on GHB. So it's called gamma-hydroxybutyrate. It's a naturally occurring neuropeptide in your body. And it comes to my mind right now because a patient just came in who's abusing GHB. Although it occurs naturally, and when you ferment potatoes, sugar, it can occur in beers and wines, GHB. But it also is a synthetic compound that's made, and it goes by the name Georgia Homeboy, GHB, or Scoop, or liquid ecstasy. So it is a drug of abuse. This drug is a precursor of glutamate, which is an activating neurotransmitter. So there's enzymes that break GHB into glutamate, which is activating, and glutamate breaks into GABA, which is inhibitory, and glycine, which is inhibitory, blah, 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 blah. So what do my patients, why do they abuse GHB? Well, this is what they tell me. It gets you high. Great. It makes you more social, makes you more confident. It makes music sound better, and you enjoy music better. They say, oh, the weightlifters, all the weightlifters use it because it increases growth hormone, and it may block pain from their lifting, and they get bigger muscles. So they abuse it for that. I get people who abuse it to sleep, not to mention this drug, because it has qualities similar to benzodiazepines like Valium, Klonopin, Xanax, Ativan, can be addicting. And they use it because they're addicted. It makes people enjoy sex more, and it's an aphrodisiac. And the gay community was abusing it for that reason, and other people were abusing it for that. But it became particularly abused in the gay community. I'm not just gay men, mostly. Now, that's what my patients tell me, and I tell them, they think it's great. Oh, this is great, this is great. And I say, well, I don't like it. They say, you're such a party pooper, Dr. Agresti. You don't like anything. Why don't you like it? I'll tell you why I don't like it. It's virtually impossible to dose. It's the reaction you get per patient is radically different with the same dose. For example, if you use under 1,500 milligrams a day, it's sort of like an alcohol. Maybe you feel euphoric. 1.5 to, so 1,500 milligrams to 3,000 milligrams, you become more sedated. You like music, sexual, socially confident, but the sedation kicks in. Over 3 grams or 3,000 milligrams, you get knocked out. Here's the problem. This comes as a powder or a liquid. And that powder, in order to be used, has to be dissolved in a liquid. So no one knows what the concentration of that liquid is. So the dose is unknown. So people use it as a liquid. And who knows how much of the drug is in the liquid? Nobody. And here's what happens. Since you don't know how much you're taking, and the wrong amount could just put you on the floor. That's why virtually everyone I know who uses GHB winds up passing out on the floor. Because guess what? This drug is synergistic with alcohol. And everybody mixes GHB in a drink. And then they wind up passing out because it's synergistic, and I'll explain why. Let me tell you some history here. This drug is old. It came from Russia, like in the late 20th century. I think like 1900 it was formulated. But anyway, some French guy in the 60s came up with it. It was initially used as an anesthetic to put people to sleep. Okay, that's reasonable. It also has some other weird effects. It relaxes muscle and it causes cervical dilation. So it was used in obstetrics to help cervical dilation. Then it was used as an anxiolytic to help decrease anxiety. Then it was used as a date rape drug and to help with sex in the 90s, I think. And the government got involved and regulated it, blah, 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 blah. Because you could get a clear, odorless, semi-salty liquid, and not much, like 5 milliliters would knock someone out. You'd probably knock them out for 2 to 3 hours. They can't remember anything, and if you mix with alcohol, you'll definitely knock them out. So it uses a date rape drug. Then now it's legally used as Xyrem sodium oxybate, 2.2 grams, and then repeat in 2 hours, 2.2 grams to help sleep. It is a great sleep drug. It improves stage 3 and stage 4 sleep, improves REM sleep. It works great. It's formulated with sodium, which is salt, which is way too much salt for someone. I've had a couple people on it. It's way too much salt. Anyway, gamma-hydroxybutyrate has got some things in common with other compounds. There's a Russian drug called phenibut, and there's an antispasmodic, a muscle spasm drug called baclofen. And they both work on this GABA-B receptor as their mechanism of action. I talked in other videos, the GABA is the main inhibitory neurotransmitter. All the drugs that you think relax you, like alcohol, Xanax, Valium, barbiturates, Seconal, phenobarbital, famous Librium, Klonopin, Ativan, Xanax. So those benzodiazepines work on the GABA-A. This one works on the GABA-B receptor. And what it does, the GABA-A brings chloride in and makes the neuron more negative so that it doesn't send electrical messages. And this one sends out potassium, so it pushes away positive, making it more negative. The neurons become more negative and the electrical energy doesn't pass through the neuron. Okay, why is that important? Because it works in a different way from alcohol. So the effects on the body are synergistic and it's very dangerous. So one brings chloride in, the other one sends potassium out. That's a double whammy on the body. And it really, really can result in overdose when you mix it with alcohol, benzodiazepines or barbiturates. And it causes respiratory depression, gag reflex. So I spent 4 years working in the emergency room in New York City at St. Luke's Hospital, Coney Island Hospital, in New Jersey, Fair Oaks Hospital, 25 years in an emergency room in West Palm Beach. I was on call to that emergency room. And my personal practice, I've seen a lot of overdoses with this stuff. I wouldn't mess with it. Gamma-hydroxybutyrate is impossible to dose because of that mechanism where it's synergistic with alcohol and benzodiazepines. And once people take it, even if they don't take it with alcohol, they get confused. They forget how much they take. They take too much. They pass out. They drop on the floor. You know how many times I've heard the parents say, yeah, my kid I heard a bang and I ran to his room. He was passed out. Weightlifters, they're the worst with this stuff. And it's coming back. They're starting to use it again. I don't know why. So I've seen a lot of overdoses. Don't mess with this stuff. It's impossible to dose. And certain people are tolerant and certain people aren't. This is not one to mess with. And I have people drinking it all the time. They figure out the dose and they use a little bit all the time and they get addicted. They have withdrawal seizures. They have tremors. They need more and more of the dose. They develop tolerance. GHB is dangerous. I got one patient who makes it. You can buy a floor cleaner or an ink cleaner called GBL, gamma-butyrolactone, and mix it with alkali hydroxide, and he makes gamma-hydroxybutyrate. This drug hits you in about 10-15 minutes. That's why they use it as a date rape drug. They pour this little odorless, colorless liquid in your drink. 15 minutes later, you're out. It lasts for about 2 hours. But if you use more within that 2-hour window, you could run the possibility of overdosing. Everyone does. Because they take it, they get confused, they feel great, they think more is better. I've had a lot of overdoses. I basically just sit them in the emergency room, make sure they can breathe. It wears off in 2 hours. There's no way to detect it because it's naturally occurring in the body. So I'm not sure how you test for it. Let me think, is there anything interesting else about this? No. So that's my little spiel on GHB, gamma-hydroxybutyrate. I would stay away from it. I know it's tempting. You think you could build muscle, euphoria. It's an aphrodisiac. It makes listening to music better, decreases social anxiety, makes you more confident in social situations. But the downside is a friggin' nightmare. I call it the drop drug because everyone who takes it winds up dropping on the floor. They really do. Don't mess with this drug. I'm serious. Do not mess with this drug. If I had to pick one where it's always dramatic and they're always falling and getting hurt or hitting the floor, it's GHB. Keep away from this one. I appreciate likes. I appreciate people subscribing to my channel. And go to my website, dragresti.com, where I have a blog where I put an article up every week. Thank you.